Pussy kitty, when I'm alone in the city. Pussy kitty, when I'm alone in the city. When I'm alone in the city, I like to pet my pussy kitty. When I'm alone in the city, I like to pet my pussy kitty. Oh, kitty. Gotta get serious.
Please.
Got to get serious. I'm a kitty, I mean business. I'm here to make money. Yes, I mean business. Yes, I mean business. I may be a cat, but I'm up to bat. I may be a cat, but I'm up to bat. Don't look at me like I'm a rat. I'm a cat, cat, cat. I'm up to bat. I'm going to Wall Street as a cat. Gonna make a lot of business. Gonna make a lot of money. Gonna make a lot of business. I'm a cat, cat. Look at that. I'm not a rat, just a cat. I'm a cat, 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 cat. Yes, I'm a cat. Look at me, I'm a cat.
Please, one moment, please. Gonna find a hair scrunchie.
I need a hair scrunchie. I like to play with it. And
Will you help
welcome to the Please Subscribe Show. I'm Cole Spivey.
I'm Edmund, the cat.
And today, let me get through the whole intro. Today's an amazing day. It's October, probably like maybe the 9th or 10th. What's today?
I don't fucking know.
You say, I don't freaking know. We don't know the date. Just give me a second.
See, you should have shut the store now. Kitty's in the bedroom. I'm not gonna move it.
Kitty's in the bedroom. We're working on a musical. It's called Pussy Kitty.
Come here.
It's October,
Will you please get the
probably like
kitty?
the 10th.
I'm wearing my work clothes.
Okay.
Get Kitty.
Okay, come on, Kitty.
Please. No, we gotta go. We got to go. Kitty, we keep a job because of you because you're always running late, playing around. I'm just sick and tired of it.
Okay, fine. Okay, so in Pussy Kitty, when the flaming lips come on, the lead singer's in a bubble. He's in this like a plastic bubble kind of thing, you know, like a whatever it's made out of. And a cat, it could be made out of wood. It's like a wood bubble, and a cat is inside of that with him, so you can see through the wood because the wood's better for the environment. And they don't want to use a plastic bubble, like a wood bubble. And there'd be like little.
Are you sure you're on the right way?
Yeah, it's the right way. There'd be scrims around the wood, so it would look still kind of like plastic, or however the lead singer of Flaming Lips does it, but it would be made out of wood, or no, hemp. It'd be made out of hemp. And the cat would be in there with him, and they get a bunch of cat grass, which is what's it called? Cat grass. What's cat grass called? Catnip. There'd be catnip, so the cat would be like. It'd be like a scene in Deer Hunter whenever he doesn't want to go into the cage.
Didn't take off any of my hairs.
You know, the guy's like, just breathe. There could be like a reenactment of Deer Hunter in the musical too.
Hurry up! Ooh, that's my kid's for you. $89 for a uniform. They'll screw you over.
So Pussy Kitty actually opens with a flat screen television on, okay? And if David Lynch is still around at the time when the musical is around, or when the musical happens, it'll always start with David Lynch's weather report and then move into what number, or today's number is. So it basically switches, you know, and you can use the older vlogs, meaning the older weather report vlogs. But it would start with that. Hang on, give me a second. Even though it's set kind of in a New York City kind of area, or like Philadelphia or something. And at times, because vlogging is such a remote thing, look at this right here. Because vlogging is so remote, they can be in different cities. So you're getting kind of the scenes when the vloggers break out their video equipment and start videotaping themselves. And it always starts, the play would always start with the weather report. Okay. And then it goes into, you know, today's number is. Okay, and that's how it starts. And then a couple of vloggers come out, they're talking about their cat, and they get an idea, you know, there's this whole idea, like, why don't we just send up pussy to the YouTube? And they're like, well, you can't really do that, they'll block it. No, my pussy cat, my actual cat. You know, you're not talking about pussy. No, I'm talking about a feline. Why don't we just send stuff up about our cat? And they're like, what? Yeah, it makes money. You just basically play with your cat, buy things like catnip and stuff like that. We'll just send it up, and we'll make money doing that. Because it's like the time is like the time of COVID, so it's like really dark. People have lost everything. They've lost their restaurants. Like, they're a community of people that are just, and they decide to start using YouTube as a way to make money, kind of thing, or like a platform. It can be Facebook too, or TikTok. It can be TikTok too. So it's all these different vlogging ideas coming together in a musical. And I like the idea that the dance is very like break dance, very mechanical break dancing. So everyone has to learn how to break dance to be in the musical. And it could be a cappella moments, and very much like Rent, you know, the sound of Rent, you know, very bohemian type of people. A lot of them are in their vehicles. Like, there could be a whole sequence of Maddie Van Halen talking in his van. And he's like, smash the bell, you know, and they're like, what in the world is this? So they're all coming from like real vloggers that are actually out there. There's hundreds and thousands of vloggers. But there's only a few famous ones, you know. And it's kind of showing how these different vloggers that become famous and everything. And then like the very end, it's Adam the Woo on a platform with Mickey Mouse, you know. And he's got the song about Epcot, you know, the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, you know. And then one time he says, you know, experimental prototype city of tomorrow. And the whole audience goes, community. And then the song starts, community, 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 community. Lots of high kicks, like community, a community. Or is it a city? Community, is it a city? Community, it's a city. Community, I think it's a city. And they're fighting back and forth saying it's a community or city. Like there's an idea there, you know, between community and city. I think it's a community. It's about people trying to come together in order to solve problems. And the Donald Trump thing, you know, he comes in, it's like more like a doll of Donald Trump. And he's put on a cross and he's put upside down like Peter, you know, it's being crucified. But see, the thing is, the Satanists show up in one sequence. There's these Satanists, you know, and they're like, they've got these upside down crosses and all this stuff, and these weird stuffed animals and all this weird thing. And they show up, and one's petting this bat, you know, it's like a stuffed animal bat. And he sees the musical, you know, because it's about them working on a musical. So it's about a play within a play. And the Satanists are like, I'm offended. I'm leaving. You know, it's like funny that a Satanist would be offended, you know, by anything really. But they show up to see the musical and they leave, you know, it's like a segment, you know. And then like Grim Life Collective is like filming them, you know, like Grim Life comes in, you know, he's like, baby girl, what are we to do? My gimbal, oh dear, my gimbal it's got a problem. It doesn't look like Kubrick. What are we going to do? Don't worry, there's always Adam the Woo. He sometimes is shaky, it'll work, but the gimbal is broke. And then Jessica kind of comes in, she's flat and like she's like kind kind of like a bat, you know, like flying like a bat. And then, you know, they're like doing a segment on Satanists, and the Satanists are like, we're offended. You know, it's kind of, you know, it's real bad. It's like real. Think of YouTube. Yeah, think of YouTube. It's really crazy all over the place. Like 1 minute it'll be David Lynch giving the weather report. Then it's like Grim Life coming in, and then you know, then you got some guy standing outside of Alec Baldwin's house. You know, he's got like a broken arm. You know, that like maybe one of the vlogger does a whole like thing on coffee, and then his cat comes up and he starts, you know. So like if they do something, there's always a cat involved. That's why it's called Pussy Kitty. So it's very pro cat. So if a doctor's got a vlog, you know, he's maybe talking about people being sick, and then a cat shows up like on his lap, you know, and then maybe like there's a movie star vlog where a guy's doing a vlog about a movie that he's doing, and then a cat shows up. So Pussy Kitty's always tied together by a cat. There's some type of cat around always. That kind of thing. This looks like pretty good coffee. All right, here comes today's number. Weather here is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It is October 10 of 2022. Today's number is 5, and I like the song Half Right by Elliott Smith. It's a really good song. He did some live versions of it, and it's a very important song. And I think it would be really good if we could maybe get that into Pussy Kitty somewhere, where maybe the ghost of Elliott Smith shows up to battle the ghost of Kurt Cobain, and they both play a song, and Elliott Smith plays Half Right. I think that's a really good one. All right, our first one today is McDonald's. Louisiana, Louisiana, fell in the bay. Does they have pumpkin cream pie? No. I can't really tell the price on it though. It's McCafe. Breakfast time, and breakfast time was 10 minutes after 10:30 for me. But McDonald's, if you don't get there before 10:30 a.m., you might as well forget about it. You're getting a cold hamburger, and that's what I'm getting today. So I'm getting a hamburger, which is like a chicken burger. So it's kind of like breakfast. It looks kind of like breakfast, but it's supposed to be breakfast. I missed it by 10 minutes, and then I got, instead of coffee, I got just like a Diet Coke, because they don't do cuts. You can't have a Coca-Cola and a Diet Coke because they don't do zero. But this is like pretty good, so we're gonna try it out. Pretty good. That's pretty good. I think that's the same squirrel that was in there the other day. Yeah, it scared him off there. You can see his tail. They usually hide on the other side of the tree. They'll do that. Don't know why. But sometimes they peek around every once in a while. cruising through the neighborhood. Yes, indeed. It's a weird sounding noise. And CC's. Very strange. Said I was somewhat sane. Somewhat sane. They were somewhat sane. So Bit by a Dog named Kane is about these crazy people that own these pets. And a dog bites one of them. And there's a cat involved named Lois Lane. And it's kind of like you kind of have to listen to it. So that there'd be no whole lot of comment. I don't make a whole lot of comments about the Uvalde incident. I do know that it's going to change the police force, SWAT team. It's going to change a lot of things in how we approach what's called an active shooter, especially in the school system. But I have chosen not to be a teacher, and I've chosen not to approach that for the time being. It doesn't mean that later on I may change my mind and actually become a teacher. But I do have a suggestion. Now, a lot of public schools, which are different than private schools, handle the situation differently. And public schools, usually a lot of times, they're more focused on funding, what the government, the type of money that they get for different projects and things like that. And the most important thing about schooling, the number one thing, is going to be safety. If you can't keep the children safe, then you certainly cannot teach them. I got a bunch of all this right here. If you cannot teach the children, then we have what's called, I have to go here, we have like a lag in the education. If there's a lag in the educational department, then what happens is kids will have to find another way to get education. Now, homeschooling is becoming popular, and I'm completely for it. I think all parents should look into it. But unfortunately, because of the fact that not all parents can have remote work, or not all parents can have homework, it's hard to do. So not everybody can homeschool because parents have to go to an office, or they have to go even to another zip code or miles away from where they live to work. So school becomes kind of like daycare to a parent. And that's a good thing, because not everybody can homeschool. But as a person that believes in homeschool, I think they should approach the school districts more of kind of like a home environment, like a family environment, where the teacher takes on a role of kind of like a parent in a way. And my teachers were always coming over, and eating dinner with us and talking about the plans of the students and stuff. The type of school system that I was brought up in, the teacher was very involved in the home and would come by the home. So, the teacher would actually come over, and so teaching was part of the home. The problem with Uvalde is that they treat the school districts kind of like it's an institution rather than it's like a home. when you're dealing with home invasion, the police force respond differently than they respond to what you would call like school invasion, or you would call it like Uvalde is going to be something that's going to be studied for hundreds of years on how it was approached. And I just heard that the entire Uvalde police force were pretty much fired. Now, some people have said suspension, but most of those guys will probably end up getting fired because of the community. So, one of the things that I think they can do, because of the fact that the active shooter has become a problem, and especially in school districts, ever since Columbine, because I remember when Columbine happened, everyone was bewildered and didn't know why these kids would walk into a school with assault rifles, which I think should be banned. Now, I don't think they should be banned from the citizen. I think a citizen should be able to get the assault rifle, but the kid isn't exactly a complete citizen. They don't have all the citizenship stuff that, a regular person would have. They are a citizen, but they can't access things like certain identifications and stuff. A 15-year-old or a 12-year-old is not able to access certain identifications where they can even access. If you have a gun show and a 12-year-old shows up and wants to buy an HK7 or some type of assault rifle or like a AR-15 or whatever, they're not going to be able to access it. But they would be able to access their parents' assault rifles, or they'd be able to get a parent to help them access that. And that's, those kinds of things should be addressed in the school system. So they should probably have an active shooter thing on, like some kind of educational thing that it deals with those situations. So it should be like a class that the kids could take, where this is how you respond when an active shooter shows up at school, and these are the things that they do. Now, one thing that they could do in public schools, I don't know about private schools would like it, they probably wouldn't, but the public schools could probably approach the situation where there's basically like smoke bombs, okay, instead of tear gas, because tear gas is, toxic. They used it in Waco. It's not a very good thing to have around children. Tear gas is not a good thing to have around children. Smoke bombs are not that big of a deal. I know a lot of kids would let off smoke bombs. Where I went to school in Keller, the Keller School District, and smoke bombs were a major problem. A smoke bomb would go off and the alarm system would be pulled, and like, why is this smoke bomb going off today? It happened all the time. And they would pull the alarm system, and everything was chaotic and nobody knew what was going on. Now, smoke bombs are actually very good in military situations, especially when an assault team is planning something. Smoke bombs are about as important as the assault rifles. Now, let's say you had an active shooting situation going on at a school, and smoke bombs were released throughout the entire school where nobody could see anything, right? That amount of smoke would blind the active shooter. They would not know where to shoot, because the entire school or the entire school building would be completely flooded out of thick smoke, and nobody would be able to see anything. And this would protect the children and allow them to at least hide. So it'd be like a complete smoke bomb would go off, and that would probably not only protect the children, but also protect the active shooter. Because if they can't see what they're doing, for one thing, they wouldn't be able to live stream it, because now live stream active shooters are happening, and they wouldn't be able to see what they're doing. So I think that's probably one way we could protect our children, is by flooding the schools out, during a situation like that. Instead of just pulling the fire alarm, which I don't think they even do that. What they do is they lock the doors, which are good. So you'd have the doors automatically lock, and that could be from remote or like smartphone or something like that. And they could prevent them from even getting in. And then if they did get in, then the doors would still lock, and then the smoke bombs would be released, or they'd be put into the school system. So then the people are completely covered in smoke, and you can't see them, like they're shielded from any type of where they could see where they are. And then every single door would be shut. So it would be like, if it happened remotely, all the doors could be shut. So all the doors from all the different, and all those doors should be bulletproof too. And the walls should be probably laced with like cement, where they can't shoot through the walls. And then the smoke would go off, and everyone would just lay on the ground, and you can't see. There would be so much smoke you would not be able to see the actual students. So it'd be a defense mechanism for the schools to protect the school body and to throw off the active shooter. So the active shooter would not be able to see into the school or into the classroom. And the classrooms would be cemented, and they'd be remotely locked. So they would the doors would automatically kind of lock in that situation. So you'd have like a security on site. Something would go wrong, they'd get the message, or they'd have cameras in the school, and they would just push a button and all the doors would lock and the smoke would release. So the active shooter could not even see. And not use tear gas, because if they can't see where to shoot. So it'd be like, impossible for any of the kids. Now this would cost billions of dollars. It'd be very expensive. And the schools would be very, very high tech. So every single door would have a metal detector. So you wouldn't even be able to get into the schools with any type of metal. You don't really need metal for education. You do need something like a pencil, but you don't have to have a pen. But you can use pen. Ink pen is fine too, as long as they're not metal ink pens. But you would not allow really any metal to enter the school at all. No laptops, no phones really, or anything like that. And it would be virtually impossible for an active shooter situation. Now, this would cost the state billions of dollars, but these would be high-tech schools designed to protect a nut. And now, here's another thing, too, is since that would be protected, no officers would be allowed to go onto the school with guns either, unless it was an active shooter situation, and then the SWAT would come in, and they'd be able to bring them in and find out who's the active shooter. Now, here's what the SWAT can use to find them. They'd have like thermal goggles. They'd be able to see through the smoke, and they'd be able to get the active shooter that way. So if the active shooter cannot see, then they cannot kill. And that's exactly how they should design some of these schools. They should be very techie, where they make it impossible for an active shooter to go into a school. I'm talking about a school system, and do their evil. So I think we need to have these high-tech schools designed to save the students.